All right, first and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Bakaha, Kadash. Double honors to elders and apostles, GMS, who I learned from. Shalom to those for elect preaching His word and truth and sincerity, to you ribs, and to you sisters out there learning in silence and staying in order. I say to you all, Shalom. I got an article. I watched a couple of videos on this as well. I think I made a video on Tucker Carlson getting arrested or detained out there for this conversation he had with this Amalekite. All right, so the headline reads, U.S. envoy. Damn, I don't even know if I want to say his name, bro. You see the name, Mike Huck, says Israel has biblical right to the Middle East. I'm going to see if they... Hold on, let me take a look at the quotations here. It says, in an interview released on Friday, the envoy explained to Carlson that a Zionist simply means a person who believes that the Jewish people have a right to have a homeland where they have security and safety, who believe that the small hats have a right to live in Israel. End quote. Quote, Israel's right to exist comes from the Bible. It is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. Notice how he said to a people, not to my people. So he's using the scriptures to justify his, occupation, right? But he refers to outside, like when you're talking about like a third person, not even, he's not even associating himself with the people of the book. He's just using the book to justify being in the land. Let's read that quotation again. Israel's right to exist comes from the Bible. It is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. Right? Why didn't he just say to my people, to our people? He distanced himself, right? Didn't even notice he did it. As Carlson pointed out, that according to the book of Genesis, the territory offered by God to the Hebrew patriarchs stretched from the Euphrates to the Nile, end quote. And quotations. That would include basically the entire Middle East. That would be the Levant. So that would be Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. It would also be big parts of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Right? He said, this is Tucker Carlson saying. Carlson asked if that meant that Israel has the right to the land, because you're appealing to the Genesis. You're saying that the original deed, quote, quotation from the Small Hatter says, it would be fine if they took it all, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here today. Right? But then he asked him again, he's like, hey, but, the quotations ended, but he asked him again, he's like, but you're saying that if you're referring to Genesis, and this is what it is, this is the land, right? Then you're saying that the people over there have the right to all these things. And he said, yeah, if they want to take it all, that's fine. And that's the plan. That's the goal, right? They just did that with the, the Hamas situation. How they, like, if you see, hold on, I got to show y'all.
Right disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
This is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand, right? This is the small hatters systematically looking in ways to destroy and pillage. This is the head tribe of Esau, right? When you follow that rabbit hole, you follow that money. You can see how entangled they are, how selfish they are. They don't even care about their own other tribesmen. Verse 2, and they that covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right? What's going on that strip over there? Poison waters, getting rid of hospitals. Like, they devised these plans, man. It was not an accident. They did it so they could expand, and they're gonna keep expanding. And the world is watching, man, and they're not gonna allow that. Well, through the strength of power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is gonna put the spirit on these other nations to come down with great wrath, man. He thinks that he could do this, hit this device, and and conquer forever, man. He thinks he could continue and keep expanding slowly but surely on the backs of others. This is Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And these small hatters, if you read what's in their book that they read, right, they're just the wickedness, right? The most wickedest tribe of Esau, where they say that if you believe in the book, right, the Bible, and whoever had anything to do with that their punishment would be to be doused in excrements for eternity, right? And that includes everybody they believe had a thing to do with the Bible, right? AKA the New Testament. They believe that everybody else is cattle and they are nothing. Right, but they, which that is in the scriptures, by the way, but they're not applying it correctly, right? The scriptures say that when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn, but when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So right now, they have their joy for a moment. This is Job chapter 20, verse 5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, right? This is the proudness of them. They think that they God's gift to earth. Verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever, like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Verse 8, and he shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yeah, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. Right, this is a prophetic verse. And this was happening to them in a sense as well when they was on earth, pertaining to Job chapter 30. Right, verse 5, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the clefts of the valleys and in caves of the earth and in the rocks. And among bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yet children of base men. They were viler than the earth. was just a little bit of humor. But yeah, man, you see how disattached to anything spiritual. Like, there's no spirit in them. But anyways, man, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kahakodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS, who I learned from. Shalom to those for let, preaching his word in truth and sincerity, to you ribs, to you sisters out there running in silence, staying in order. I say to you all, Shalom.